We're back for another game day for the Arizona Coyotes. They face off against the Vancouver Canucks. We're going to talk about that game, break it down. Plus, we're also going to talk some Tempe news that is Arizona Coyotes adjacent on this episode of Locked On Coyotes.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Robyn Leonio. That is Carl Pavlik. On this episode of Locked On Coyotes, we want to thank everyone for making Locked On Coyotes your first listen every day. We're free and available on all platforms, and we're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We also want to thank a huge shout out to Trey Matthews of Locked On Devils for hosting us on a crossover yesterday as we discussed the Coyotes' loss. Obviously not the kind of loss to talk about because it was just a terrible one, but
Yep.
It was good having a crossover anyways.
Absolutely. It was definitely a burn the tape type loss by the Coyotes. The two goals in the last minute of the second period are just nightmare inducing if the season had any real value at that point. But it was great to talk to Trey again. He definitely seemed, less sure of his team compared to the first time we talked to him. Glad to see the Coyotes kind of, maybe put the Devils season in perspective a bit, but got some good information from him, and hopefully we gave him a little bit more insight into the Devils. That's great that we're able to cross over like that.
Also, to our listeners, I absolutely love the fact that you guys did not forget and makes them feel bad a little bit. We love to joke with them. Obviously, it's all in fun, but
yeah. He was very confident going in, and if you're going to be confident against the team, being confident against the Arizona Coyotes, normally that's fine, but it was just one of those rare hubris moments that we haven't got to get too many times this season.
Exactly. But let's get to the meat of this episode. Before we talk to the pregame, let's discuss some Tempe news, Carl. And it is Coyotes adjacent because it doesn't affect the Coyotes directly, but it is related in some way because the compost yard that they want to build their arena on caught fire yesterday.
Mm-hmm. It did. Looks like around 10 a.m. it was reported. There was quite a bit of smoke. Got to see the story mainly on AZ Central, but saw that a couple of places picked it up as well. Nothing really to do with the Coyotes. They're not really involved in any way. This shouldn't affect any kind of negotiations. It could potentially, tell Tempe City Council that hey, we need to do something else with this space because that's an important area for the city. You have I believe there's a office
Carvana.
Building.
Yeah,
The
Carvana, all the health insurance offices.
Yeah.
You got the Center for the Arts. You got you got Tempe Town Lake, not too far from
Tempe Town Lake, and also just residential properties. I said on Twitter on the Five for Howling account, I used to live a couple blocks away from where the arena is going to be in South Banks Apartments. There's a lot of people there. There are reasons why the city of Tempe is looking at their space and being this would probably be better served being anything other than a compost yard.
Yeah, so maybe that kind of in indirect way helps. Anything that happens here is an indirect, maybe this could be better for the Coyotes. Maybe help them in some weird, odd way.
Yeah.
Again, not directly because it's not like the fire is hey, put the Coyotes here. But
But like, when a swing vote on the city council is like
it's
doing their pros and cons list, fire could be like a pro of having the Coyotes move there. Less fire, probably a
less
better way
fire.
for me to say that. There's
Yeah,
hopefully not going to be more fire, except when the Calgary Flames show up. Bam! Hockey reference.
there you go.
I can hire me for your speechwriter, Tempe politicians. I can make that joke.
Well, I absolutely love it. A couple other things too to mention on this one I found really funny is the AZ Central article mentioned that the fire did not impact the flight path into the Phoenix airport, which is
Hmm.
funny because because that's what this big lobbyist group is complaining for the Coyotes arena comp.
Yep.
You know,
The FAA sent a letter saying that they were concerned about potential flight path risks. I'm not sure how concerned they are, if they're just doing their due diligence or if this is something they're going to actually fight. One breakdown of the letter I saw said that it also included a reference that the city of Phoenix is supposed to be like challenging this type of thing to ensure it. It's part of their agreement with Sky Harbor Airport, but it'll be kind of interesting to see. But this does also, one of those small things when people are discussing the FAA concerns, we can point to the fact like there was a fire and the FAA said that there was no impact. You're probably not going to have any impact with, a crane that's going to be lower than the fire smoke went.
especially because fire smoke can, especially at a compost yard, can get pretty thick, and lower visibility in that case. And if it didn't affect it, then yeah, building stuff is should not affect whatsoever.
Yeah,
Especially with the fact that let's be real, other cities, have you seen how freaking close to high buildings they are? Higher buildings,
yeah.
so
Definitely. And, one of the quotes that I really liked in the Easy Central article was these types of fires can take days to completely put out because of the way mulch burns. And yeah, like this is a very specific type of fire. Like you look at the picture and you're like, that seems like it would not be fun to, fly a plane through. Like that should like cause something. And, if you're the FAA, maybe you change your mind and you're like, you know what? Maybe we want to risk flying through less fires because I don't know what to tell you about the valley in Arizona, but climate change is not doing the best things to it, and we have seen a couple more fires lately.
Arizona's only getting hotter.
Yep.
We were lucky last year we had a wetter season. If
Yeah.
that didn't show up, it would have been not. It would have been just as hot as the previous year. It would.
Yeah. And overall, like last season was a change, but it's getting drier a lot too. So, like you are seeing a lot more concerns about water for cities in like the Northeast Valley. You're probably not seeing them as much, but like in Phoenix, I see them pop up a while. There's a city that's going to be losing their access to water soon, so it's not fun.
No, it's not. And yeah, but that's a lot of the other effects that are being indirectly or directly hit by this news piece. And again, it didn't affect the Coyotes directly, but you know, the more of a reason to get rid of the compost yard to put something there is the better, especially because the Coyotes proposal was the only one submitted.
Yeah, yeah. Like they were the only ones there, so they could always go back and request new proposals, but this seems like, the best bet for what they want.
Absolutely. We still got more to get to, though, on this episode of Lockdown Coyotes. We're going to get into the preview as the Arizona Coyotes get ready to face off against the Vancouver Canucks. That coming up in just a moment. But first, a quick word from Carl.
So I have a message from our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports information. You can find all the latest sports development, updates, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of the Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. There's a reason we always go to BetOnline when we're looking up the lines and all the betting information for our game previews. You can head over to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts.
So, back here on Lockdown Coyotes, once again, Robyn Leonio and Carl Pavlik, as we discuss Arizona Coyotes versus Vancouver Canucks. We're getting into the preview part of this episode. Let's get ready, Carl. Last time they played only like a week ago.
A week ago, exactly.
A week ago, exactly. And now they have to go at it again. The last time did not go so well. The last several games for the Coyotes have not gone well. They're like what lost. What, I'm gonna say 8 of their last 10 games or something like that.
I haven't seen their last 10 in a while, but they
They
have
are
not done.
they are 2-7-1 in their last 10.
Ooh, that one. So intriguing. But yeah, the Coyotes have not been doing well lately. They weren't doing great to start, and then just everything has happened. And the Coyotes haven't vastly improved in the week since they last played Vancouver. We have two new faces, Jack McBain and Nate Smith, and we also have the return of JJ Mosier. So, it's a little bit different, but not substantially enough to, I think, make different outcome than last week.
No, it won't be. Which is the unfortunate part. I think the other thing too that might make it a little bit of a difference is that it's an away game. The Coyotes have to go to Vancouver,
Yeah.
so that might make a different impact too. So
This is their last Canadian road trip of the season. They have one more road trip, but it's going to be to Minnesota and Dallas.
yeah. Speaking of like Canadian road trips, in what world would you think the Coyotes would struggle against Western Canada but sweep Eastern Canada?
I mean, and it's not like Western Canada has been particularly bad this year either.
Yeah, we didn't expect. I mean, like we didn't expect the Canucks to be good.
Yeah,
I didn't expect the Jets to be that good.
yeah,
The Oilers, I thought were going to be the only potential issue. The Flames, maybe, but
yeah. But I mean, like, the Coyotes did sweep Eastern Canada. The only impressive one in that is Toronto. Let's be fair. Like, the
yes,
Montreal, like, yeah, that's gonna happen. And Ottawa.
that is a fair argument. You should put that in there. That is a fair point. A very fair point.
Although nobody thought Montreal was gonna be Montreal this year, so
That's
like
also true.
that's why you gotta play the games. Like, we can have predictions and they could look great on paper, and it should work that way, but the real world is much more chaotic than that.
Absolutely. But let's get more into the preview for this game
Sure.
because again, as you mentioned, it's probably not going to be that much different,
Yeah.
especially because it's very much going to be like, all right, the first month the Coyotes were absolute crap. The last month for the Coyotes are going to be absolute crap. It's
Yeah.
just the way things go, unfortunately. And as I mentioned in the crossover with Trey yesterday, is the Coyotes need 7 points in their last 9 games to at least tie their worst point total for a full 82 game season.
And I honestly thought that they would comfortably
We thought
meet.
we both thought that, right? They're on that hot streak in throughout March, and we're just like, what? They they can take care of it. We're confident.
Yeah, and I did think the Coyotes were gonna regress from that hot streak. We both did. Like
Yeah.
there was no way it was sustainable, but like the injuries that the team has sustained have really just hampered their ability to play a full 60-minute game, and we've seen that every single game this month. And if you look at the Canucks, like they are a team where like if the Coyotes can come back, maybe they had a chance. If they could play like, you know, whistle to whistle for a full 60 minutes, maybe they'd have a chance, but that's just not where they're at right now. The Canucks last played the Vegas Golden Knights, and they gave up 2 goals to have Vegas tie it, push it to overtime. Vancouver ended up winning that game, but Vegas got like a much needed point. But the Coyotes aren't the Vegas Golden Knights.
No, they're on complete opposite ends of where they are. Although Vegas, there's a chance they might not make the playoffs, but that's not for us to discuss.
Yeah, yeah.
But here's a question for you: do you give Karove Milka another shot after what happened on the other game, or do you say our Sateri we'll give this to you?
I mean, the Melka just looks like he needs like a couple of sessions with the goaltending coach. He needs to reset his game. I don't think there's any benefit in putting him out there again. I know he has always said that he loves to play and that he thrives off it and that he's fine doing it, but his play says a different story.
Yeah, it definitely has not been great. Interesting to think. Let's put it this way: ever since Wedgwood got traded,
Yeah.
things have been downhill.
Yeah, and we saw that like a couple times throughout the year, and it's one of the reasons why like someone asked me about like me referring to the Coyotes goaltending as a question mark. I'm like, Vamelka is in his first year in the NHL. He is very much an untested goaltender. There's no reason we should be expecting consistency from him. Like, it,
Exactly.
yeah, it's something where he just needs a reset, I think.
Although I will say, I do firmly believe now that we're thinking about it a little bit more that Scott Wedgwood was the push for Vejmelka to play a little bit better. You know,
Yeah.
because he was right. Like in terms of talent, he was right there. You know, kind of like who's going to get more starts potentially because they're both you know working on trying to prove stuff, and
And there was definitely times where like Vamelka would get sat for like a couple games in a row, and like Wedgwood would get the start, and I think that like vastly improved his play. Like when he came back, he looked much better, and I don't know why the you know coaching is concerned about this. You don't want to throw a guy to the woods like you would with Sateri, but like I don't know, like the Coyotes aren't going to win these games. Might as well like rest
might as well
Vamelka.
give Cherry the reps. You know,
Yeah, let him show what he can do.
I mean, there's 9 games left. What's the hurt, right? The 9 games left. The Coyotes are what 2-3 points back from in the worst spot. Like, so they are currently in the worst spot with the next team above them around 3 points ahead of them. Like,
Yeah,
like
and the only game they really have a chance at is Chicago, and that's it. Like the rest of the games, they're going
the
to be tough.
last time they played Chicago was a high scoring affair. Like,
Yeah,
so like these there's a lot to think about if you're the Coyotes. If I were them, I would give a few of these games to Sateri.
yeah, definitely. And I do kind of think that should probably start tonight.
It should start tonight. I believe that's my thought. That's your thought too. So,
Yeah,
but obviously the coaches might see differently. We'll have to find out when the morning skate comes and see who's out there.
sure.
Anyways, though, we still got more to get to on this episode of Locked On Coyotes. We are going to get to our predictions, courtesy of our friends at BetOnline. We are going to get into that in just a moment, but first, a quick word from our sponsors. And we're back here on Locked On Coyotes. Once again, Robyn Leonio and Carl Pavlik previewing Arizona Coyotes at Vancouver Canucks. Puck drops at 7 p.m. tonight, which is an interesting time because it's well, actually, it's not because we're in the same time as I was
Yeah,
about.
we're in the Pacific now.
See, my brain is not working.
Yeah.
I thought we were ahead of Vancouver for some reason. But no, we're in the same time. So yeah, it's makes sense. But anyways, uh, let's get to the lines.
Yeah.
So Arizona Coyotes are 1.5 underdogs at +100, +231 on the money line. Total points is 6 even.
Hmm. This is definitely an interesting one because Vancouver has been scoring lately. I don't know if they could, put up 5 against the Coyotes because the Coyotes seem to only be able to get 1 or 2 goals. So, but I kind of want to say that Vancouver's going to win this one. I'm going to say 5-2. I'm going to say the Coyotes do one better than they did the last time these two met.
You say 5-2.
Yep.
I'm gonna say 4-2 Vancouver Canucks. So that puts at 6 even. So don't bet on the total on my on an over under for my prediction.
Yeah.
Because I mean you can, but you'll get your money back if I get it right. Um,
Yeah.
you don't win.
I mean, it seems like you should be on this one focused on Vancouver winning because
And taking the points for
yeah,
giving the points to Vancouver.
yeah. Cuz like the Coyotes have just struggled to score their third goal. Like that's a problem for the past couple seasons. It's especially true now.
And it's funny because again that March period where they were scoring like 5 goals a game or whatever it was, which
Yeah.
it was a complete outlier from what we were used to, which is why we were just going berserk. Because majority of the season, what their average goals a game was like what 1.7 or something like that, or
Yeah.
2.1. It was something really low,
Yeah.
and we're just like, okay, yeah, we know it's gonna be this bad. And now they're back to it, so there's no way you can think of them getting more than two.
Yeah, and I mean like there was also like the team was like a little bit more spread out than like now it seems like all of the Coyotes offense is coming off of the stick of Nick Schmaltz. He had a goal and an assist in the Coyotes last game, so he's involved in like all of the goals for that. Was the Coyotes lone goal the last time they played it. Like it's Schmaltz or nothing, and that's just not a good recipe for any team.
No,
Like,
it
no
is.
disrespect to Schmaltz.
I mean, we mentioned that, right? In like preseason talk, right? Because we are
Yeah.
thinking about like this was before we even thought Clayton Keller was going to make any kind of impact, or even Krell's going to make that kind of impact. But we're like, when Nick Schmaltz is your top line center, you know we have a problem.
Yeah. Although, like, is he center? No, I'm trying to remember because he was on a line with Boyd and Richie, I believe, in the last game, and
he's a
theoretically, any of them could be center.
he's a hybrid player, but they put him at center more often than not.
Yeah. Which I mean, he like all the credit in the world to him. I think he has had a phenomenal season. He has really shown what he can do, but he is not the type of player who can carry a team. There are like very few players in the history of professional hockey who could throw the entire team on their back, and with the exception of goaltender. Because like that's one of those things where like if the Melka suddenly like stands on his head and just turns into a brick wall, that could theoretically win some games. But he doesn't have the defense in front of him to do that. And like we said, he seems kind of tired.
Yeah. Plus, there's a that reminded me though, giving of a reason why the Coyotes are not so focused on that bit of goaltending, because when they got rid of when they let Ranter walk and they traded away Hill and they traded Kemper back in the offseason, this was just when we had Craig Morgan. He's like, they're doing this because they're like, that having a player like Kemper, especially, he's going to steal you games that you probably, as the higher organization, would want to be losing. And again, the Coyotes are focused on a high level draft pick. I mean, they're
Yeah,
already getting a lottery pick.
yeah,
That's pretty much set in stone. It just question is, can they get the highest chance of getting first overall?
yeah. Although, like, you do always like look at those games. I don't know if you've ever looked at them like after where you're like, huh, if they had won that one game, they would have been in third instead of second, and then they would have gotten the pick. I think there was a game like that in the McDavid series. Uh, but yeah, it is, the Coyotes definitely used to have goaltenders who could steal games, and I think to a lesser extent, Wedgwood is also one of them. Like, he had that phenomenal shutout for the Dallas Stars. Like, that's great to see. The Melka, we have seen him like at points in the season do really good, but he is also like relied on his team as you would expect for a rookie goaltender.
I mean, again, also remember this. How many times this season have we said that this episode is the Kurobe Mocha show?
Yeah, and like I cannot remember how many 45 plus save games he's made. Like, it is phenomenal. Like, there is absolutely, like, it's not a knock against Vamelka if he doesn't finish as strong as he could, because he has done enough good in his year to earn a contract, and that was like the major goal. And we just gotta kind of suffer through these last couple games.
Just 9 more games to go. Then comes the off season. We get ready. We start hyping up for the lottery, and then we can rest for a little bit before we get back into the nitty gritty again and have to discuss the Coyotes on the second year of their rebuild, which will only be slightly better, but still lots of pain.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, they get Shane Wright, things will change a lot, but
Yeah, but Rome wasn't built in a day. One player cannot turn an entire team around. Like we said, like, you know,
example, Connor McDavid did not help make the Oilers good within the first year. The Oilers were still really bad those first 2 years. They had Connor McDavid.
the Oilers have been really bad, even with Connor McDavid playing some of his best hockey. Let's be real. Like,
Yes, I mean, I was
it,
giving some of the benefit of the doubt because they made the playoffs like his third year or whatever, and then
yeah. Yeah, but they kind of squeaked in, and then it was a whole bunch of mediocrity since then. Like, hockey is a team sport. It requires a team. It can't just be one person. Even if that person is Shane Wright, like, the team is going to need to, wait for other players to develop, and that's should be expected.
double up Shane Wright and Connor Bedard. Let's go.
Who knows? Like, look how many first overall picks the Oilers got.
Oh man, that would be so fun. I mean, like, because you can only win two, right?
I believe so.
If you get
Uh,
two within a certain time frame, then you cannot get first overall again.
Yes, for is it 5 years? I don't know. I just recently looked at the rules again because I had forgotten that they, were just doing the top two picks. I thought that it was still top three, but
I
yeah,
mean, technically, they pull the lottery balls for every team that's non-playoff, kind of.
yeah,
Yeah, cause I remember, because I remember, like, you had what, Chicago go from like 15 to 3.
yes, but I think they have changed those rules where you could only move up 10 spaces. We are going to study up on these because they are
Once the
big.
regular season is over,
Yeah,
we will go full in lottery. First, talk all the lottery stuff. And then once that's out of the way, we might do some draft class stuff, discuss who's in the draft in the 2022 NHL draft class. Because
Absolutely, yeah.
again, it is a deep one.
Yeah, but we still got 9 more games to go. So
9 more games to go. It's going to be a long 9 games, guys. I hope you guys are in for the long haul because it's going to be brutal, but we all accept it. We all accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, though, we both have the Coyotes losing this game by 2 to 3 points. So it's not it's. We'll see how things go from there. Anyways, that's going to be it for this episode of Lockdown Coyotes. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave a review, like, comment, subscribe if you're yet to already. We're available everywhere you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Don't forget to also interact with us on social media. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes, on Instagram at LockedOnCoyotes, and on Twitter at LO_Coyotes. I am personally at Robyn_Leonio. Carl Pavlik is Carl Pavlik FFH. Interact with us, ask the question, we might answer right back, or on a future episode of the Lockdown Coyotes podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to today's episode. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy. And don't forget to howl on.